Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy, 4 Nerds by Nerds, hanging out with these nerds.
Nathan Nerdarch.
Nerdarch is dead.
And in theory, we are live.
2 hours after some of us may have said we were going to be live.
Gotcha, sucker.
Hey, at noon, Dave and I were recording video, so we were still on camera, just not live.
Yeah, technically.
Well, you know, I understand you have live chats Monday through Friday, so
yeah,
at noon.
So yeah, so I kind of like instinctively just went to the 12 o'clock slot, but you know when I shared it on Facebook, I shared it at 2 p.m. Eastern time. So
he still shared the correct time
at some point. I got confusion, mass confusion.
So it depends on where you got the notification, whether or not you've been waiting 2 hours. And we thank you for waiting.
Absolutely. We typically, you know, we'll let you guys know when we're planning to do something off kilter for our Saturdays. Which next week will probably be off kilter or a non-existent, depending.
Yeah, we have not actually figured out next week, guys. But you can come shoot out the PAX Unplugged and just come hang out with us. I think at least one of us at a time or 2 of us at a time, something like that, will be nailed down to a table someplace.
Hopefully not literally.
No.
Well, I have you know, been nailed to things. I'd rather not have to repeat that.
Yeah, so
question for another time.
Yeah, so we will be there at the open legend table, and then I imagine whoever's not at the table will be roaming.
Mm-hmm. So you'll most likely be able to catch one of us at the table at some point.
Yeah, that would be a good place to look for us anyway. We haven't figured out any like formal stuff. You know, who knows what's going on. But you know, our kind of one of our things is if enough of you guys gather in one spot, we will run a game.
Game time.
We will run a game, whether we have one prepared or not. So,
well, I mean, there's always plenty of things that you just like. Oh, well, let's pull this out, or let's. What do you guys feel like doing? There's always that kind of stuff.
So, also, we have a couple contests running right now.
Absolutely. So, are the links for both of them down below?
Only GnomeWorks, but the other one, just go to the last week's.
Grab the thing back there.
Bum, bum, bum.
So the link to GnomeWorks contest is below. These super awesome travel boxes.
I thought it was cool that you opened it up
like this.
yeah, I always struggle too. Like, no, I'm gonna show how strong I am.
Now I do it.
I was super impressed that Ted opened it up and nothing fell out, but they fixed that.
Well, no, something did fall out because it was the holder for this to fill out on the ground. I was wondering what it was, and then I found out when I opened it. But you're going to get the unabused version of this one, I believe.
Yes.
We have 2. This is our display.
And they have Nerdarchy branded on them. Like, you can't get this anywhere else.
You will have one of 2.
Yes.
Indeed. So there's not a whole lot of entries in that contest. So go check it out now so that you can, you know, up your chances of winning or whatnot.
Or whatnot. Yeah, and also in the link you will find a link to our flip through of Xanathar's Guide to Everything, and there you will find the contest to win either the special edition cover or the regular cover.
The regular cover
over there somewhere,
slightly out of Dave's viewpoint. We did a flip through from it. There's a contest on that particular video that we're going to give away both those copies. I will say again that they are slightly red. We're doing our best to keep them in as close to pristine as possible condition. But they're the copies that we're using to read and be able to review for you guys because we don't have our own copies yet.
They're internet famous copies. They've been in videos.
Yeah, they are.
Internet famous.
We filmed one video for Xanathar's Guide today already. We did Barbarian subclasses. We did the comparison with the UA, and we also talked a little bit about how you might use those subclasses as villains as well. So
that was a good video. I enjoyed it.
As per the request. There you go. Ted approves.
I approve my own video. We're gonna do one on.
He probably likes his own posts on Facebook too.
We will be doing one on the DM tips section. So we'll kind of jump back and forth with it, so you guys can see more of that stuff.
Yeah, so we can cover more of the bases, I guess. That is the plan.
So we got 2 things off of my list out of the way on December 1st, I'll be running my November fan game for you guys. Now, I meant to read the list of players last week and forgot. I did contact the people who are on the list, and none of them replied. So that possibly means that there's some open spots. But I will, as per our usual deal, I will read out who those people are. So the players selected for the game: Michael Barth, Nine Eye Mouse, Eric Rodriguez, Spike Quinn, and Matthew Mann. The alternates are Jesse Waldenville, Tom McDonald, Rick Vest, Chang Jensen, and Kevin Daly. So if one of those happens to be your name and you reply, whether you're an alternate or a player, you're going to be in the game.
Thus far.
So yeah, well, 1 week ago was, shortly after the live chat, last week that I sent it out, and nobody's, contacted me.
Rick Vest is in one of my pay-to-play games, the Old More Dane, so I'll contact him. Maybe he's maybe it went to spam or something. I don't know.
Okay.
Stop spamming us.
These Nerdarchy guys.
Maybe he just doesn't want to be in a game with Ted. Maybe he's,
and perhaps he's busy. I don't know. But he's definitely interested in playing games. So.
Clyde Graves wants to know, how do you join games? It's really easy, actually. Sign up for our newsletter, and when you first sign up for it, you get a series of 3 or 4 emails. And in that series, one of the things it tells you is how to sign up for those games, to join our games for free. Or if you happen to be a patron at any level, that's also another entry into the random game selection. So
even $1 a month gets you automatically on that list. As well as that's an automatic entry into our monthly giveaways.
Yes, which the giveaways we were just talking about aren't our regular monthly giveaways. They are completely separate from those giveaways. And for those, you don't have to be a patron or anything. All you have to do is go to the Gleam link, and Gleam will tell you several different ways to get entries.
There are also 2 other ways to try and get in our games, and that is if you're a Patreon supporter. Sometimes when we don't get the slots filled, we go to our Patreon supporters first and ask them if they're available for a game. And if none of them are available for a game, or we still have slots open, we go to our secret Facebook group, the Nine and the Nag, the Nag, the company of the Nag.
Yeah, secret. Worst kept secret ever. Shiz the Stabbers thinks I think you guys should D&Di's Foghorn Leghorn from Looney Tunes. That's a good suggestion. I like that suggestion, and it's one we're actually familiar with, so that's always helpful too. We always get these video game requests, and we don't play video games really. Nate does.
D&D,
yeah, but I don't play every video game. I mean, you guys ask for some obscure stuff sometimes.
Yeah, we get D&Di's video games or anime characters, and it's yeah. Unless you're talking DBZ, there's not a whole lot of anime experience that I have. So,
and when's the last time you watched that?
It's been a few months.
Oh, you're current then. That I consider a few months current. I just finally finished up Stranger Things 2 last night. I was really sad when I realized there's only, between the 2 seasons, there's only 17 episodes. I feel a little cheated.
They jam pack a lot of stuff in there.
They did, and I felt like they were pretty long. I felt the episodes felt long.
Oh, are they over an hour?
I don't know. It just felt long.
Well, yeah, sometimes when they jam pack a lot of stuff in, it feels
a lot of hour shows. Typically, you get 42 to 44 minutes, and I think these guys are actually closer to that hour mark.
Okay,
so that actually does seem to pack in that much more,
especially when compared to a TV show that has commercials and stuff.
I wonder if that's due to story arcs, or is that due to having so many minors in the performance or something? You know what I mean? I don't know if they have to do a special.
I wouldn't think so. I mean, they would just have to. It might take longer to film.
Yeah, that tends to be more on.
So maybe that limits the episodes, perhaps.
Maybe I don't know. They shell it off enough money. They can break all the rules they want to.
I think they're just trying to build more hype with it.
Yeah.
It's
I mean, I'd rather see them go the way of some classic one that gets a good 10, 15 seasons instead of no offense, Supernatural fans, but I stopped watching season 7. I'm done with that show.
But I mean,
the problem with that though is the kids are going to age out, and I feel like that's part of the thing about the show.
Yeah.
So I only feel like they're going to get a couple more seasons anyway.
That's a good point, Dave.
But I mean, they can go further. It's just those characters will age into maturity and have to deal with that. I
think it'll break the show. I don't think it'll be as good a show.
They'd have to transition to it differently, I think, or they'd have to stop it and 20 years later have a sequel.
Have the reunion.
So while Dave's reading comments and the like, December 24th will be the next RPG Crate game. Actually, have the things here. It's part 2 of Adventures on the Open Road. We got From the Sky, The New World, and What's for Dinner. So I'm looking forward to that. I think that the group has a lot of fun with that. It'll be interesting to find out what's going to happen, considering that we've already got new terminology entering into these games. Apparently, getting knocked down in the first hit of the first combat is being called a Jake. So
you guys are redefining D&D. Hey guys, when you have questions, please put the word question in front of them or GM911. So this way we know you're talking to us and asking
I thought we were telling them to at Nerdarchy us.
Well, all those things work.
How about a Q? Just the letter Q?
No,
Q?
No. The word question in capitals. No, Ed does everything. Ask the question. Here's a weird question. How would you rule a cloak as a weapon? So first of all, it is an improvised weapon. So you're not proficient in it unless you have Tavern Brawler or something that makes you proficient. And second of all, it's not going to do very much damage.
Yeah, a punch unarmed is only doing a point of damage, and I think a cloak, unless it's a weighted cloak, isn't going to be able to do any damage. Now, if you watch Count of Monte Cristo, they use the cloak as like an offhand block. So like I would rule as like maybe a fighting style or something that could be like a +1 to armor class versus certain weapon types. Things that have the light property.
I'm gonna go for the rule of cool and say it's like a net. So whatever a net does in the game, I mean, does it like hamper people? Does it give them disadvantage? Does it give you advantage?
Yeah, but a net like wraps around you, and the actual combat nets, I believe, have hooks in them, like fish hooks, so that when they hit you, it wraps.
And this is, I imagine, the cloak being worn, not pulling it off to be able to wrap. So like that's what they do in the Count of Monte Cristo. He like gets it around his offhand and he's batting stuff away. So that's what I would wind up doing.
Let him do maneuvers.
Yeah.
Jason, why is the monk always doing so much damage? Because he's a freaking monk. Hello.
That's what the monk's about. I mean, he's no paladin, but he still can shell it out.
Yeah, he's definitely like a striker kind of.
Now, so if you want to do really cool things with a cloak in combat, I think that could be a feat unto itself. And I would just look at like Shield Master and Dual Weapon Fighter and some of the other ones just to kind of like get ideas. It's probably going to have like 3 different properties for doing it. And it's going to vary. Whatever you think's cool and works for your game.
All right, sounds like we got a request for a new feat there, Dave.
Ching.
Cape Wrangler.
So World Anvil, it can be used to blind someone, so disadvantage on an attack to someone beside you. Yeah, I would do that. That's actually a cool idea where if you use it and throw it in someone's face, maybe as a bonus action, give them, I don't know, 8 plus your proficiency modifier plus your dex maybe as the DC, and if they fail the saving throw, they're blinded for 1 round. Like, you literally either interaction with an action can like pull it off or something.
It's not like they've got hooks in them.
Yeah, that's true.
You need a hooked cloak.
That's called a cloaker.
Yeah, just get a cloaker.
Get a cloak. Yeah. Can you come up with a feat that uses a cloaker for a fighting style?
That's what Strahd's cape is, actually. No one knows.
That's why he can look so thematic all the time.
Yeah.
It's got a mind of its own. Clyde Graves question: when a player wants to follow a follower or a non-humanoid companion, how do you guys deal with that? Can you give an example? Go ahead, Ted. You've got plenty of these going on.
All right. So you have to factor in whether the player is looking for them as an RP or like the collector mentality, or whether you're actively looking for them to augment combat as well. And those things are going to be handled differently. Your Dave's son, David, in my game is all about collecting pets, the Pokemon mentality, if you will. And great. I have no problem with him collecting any of them. And if they actually have enough intelligence, I'll be able to have a role-playing element in because he doesn't want them to die. On the other hand, when Scott was playing with us, he was all about the hired mercenaries and apprentices, and I try to scale them, back so that they are significantly less powerful than the party, more than 2 levels below, so that they're not going to outshine the actual players at the table, and you try to mitigate that player's turn. If you have a player who's not all that proficient with the rule set, they're not prepared when it comes to their turn, then they're not going to be able to handle adding more things into it. But if you've got someone who's a veteran player like Scott is, he can say, okay, well, I'm doing this is the effect, my apprentice is doing this is the effect, this is his hired mercenary, he makes an attack. At the things that you guys were typically fighting, his mercenary was not really dishing out all that much damage if he hit. And it was soaking up, attacks. It took a little bit of extra time, maybe an extra 12 seconds per turn tops when he was doing it, because he's such a veteran player. So that's what I do. And we got Dave leaving the game.
Well, I'm out, guys. I've had enough of this.
All right, well, Dave's going to check some technical stuff. Well, he's back already.
I'm back. That didn't take long.
So that's what I do. We don't really deal with any of that in your game, because none of the players there have really expressed an interest in that kind of stuff.
Well, actually, there was a time when you guys had a whole menagerie. There was a griffin. There was a belay, maybe. Yeah, there was a belay.
Well, we had a belay, but that wasn't like
Mike and Ed's.
Well, all right. So there was
pets? I missed
the Gobelos brought the Myconids from the Underdark or the Beneath to the surface so that they can be able to create drugs to sell.
Oh, all right.
Now that was more like that was an escort thing. The belay was more like just a mount. I don't know whatever happened to the Griffin.
It's around.
But the belay died.
Horribly. Guys could have saved it.
We had I could have. I just
he's like looking for an excuse, and he's like, no, just F that belay. I hated him so much.
Well, no, I didn't hate him. I mean, it was useful to have, and we had the magic item that really required his use, so like we wound up losing that as well. So
300 gold is 300 gold, man.
Did you at least harvest him for all his bits?
No.
I don't think he could have been harvested for his bits.
Oh, was that bad, huh?
He got shredded by like a dozen chokers.
Ooh.
That's a lot of piercing and bludgeoning damage. It's like I imagine it's like getting attacked by dangerous what are those promo guys? The wind guys, the standees. They have them for grand openings and stuff, and outside of car dealership places.
Oh, the inflatable tube man.
Yeah, the tube man.
The wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube man.
Yeah, I feel like that's what the death of the belay kind of looked like, only with a lot more blood and gore.
With like claws attached to the end of the tubes.
There's also the fact that like he was considered like a pet or a mount, so to then cut him up further seemed like adding insult to injury.
You could have a piece of him with you forever. Hey, it wasn't my pet belay. I'd probably be sad about it.
So Zach B question: if running a Spell Plague 5e campaign, how to not make the wizard feel useless? Well, anytime you run a campaign that's very restrictive like that, it's going to be problematic. And if literally the spell plague thing is preventing them to doing the main thing that they pretty much do, they're just going to be useless. There really isn't anything you can do about it.
I'm not familiar with how hampering the spell plague thing is.
Well, that's areas where like magic doesn't work in certain areas, right?
So I don't remember exactly. It was a dark time during Forgotten Realms that was best to stop reading pretty much. The quality of the writing went down, and the writers they were getting, and the weird. This is how we're going to explain 4th edition. And I was like, wasn't into that part.
Yeah, well, it's hard when you restrict people with game mechanics, where before you can just write whatever the heck.
Like the best thing to do is like do a session 0, and hopefully when they go, oh wait a minute, I'm not going to be very useful if I pick this class, then they don't pick that class. It would be like nothing.
Yeah, so if we talk about it ahead of time and let them know, hey, you go down this road, it's going to be challenging. You know?
Be ready to use your slings and daggers in some encounters.
And unless you want to make them special and give them an item or something that allows their stuff to work, like, and break those rules. But if you're like hardlining, this is spell plague, your magic means you're boned, then in that case, yeah, they're better off just playing something else. Is my opinion. So, someone wants to ask the question. I haven't really delved deep enough, Ryan, but maybe someone else in the chat. Did anyone notice the game-breaking combo with the Forge Cleric? The interaction with Channel Divinity and Fabricate allows a free, infinite item-generating loop. You're gonna make Nate very happy.
Well, is it like I can't remember what it is, but isn't it I've got to look at it some other time. Sorry. But yeah, I love Fabricate. It's awesome.
Cogent Chaos. How do you play with 6+ PC characters at your table? Just like you do with any other ones. It's just you have more people. It's harder to manage. Like your encounters are gonna have to be more challenging. And
have someone else manage initiative. That would probably be really helpful. If whoever wants to volunteer for it. If you want to give them extra XP or an inspiration, a session for it, I would do that.
Anything you could get other players to jump in with and help you is going to be a big deal. So whether it's tracking initiative, moving minis for you, tracking other things in the game. I think Sly Flourish has like a whole thing on that.
And part of it is going to just, come into the more you do it, the more experience you have at it, and the better you're going to do. My game, I typically run 7 players. As of right now, I believe we're going to be down 2 tonight. But at its utmost, we were at 9 players in my game. It was challenging, just squeezing everybody around the table and to get on camera. Now it's gotten a little bit easier to manage, but. Planning encounters is going to be tricky because if you don't know how many players are going to show up every single session, you have to be able to mitigate when you are looking at, well, how much damage can this thing do versus how much hit points the party has. Are you countering that versus how much healing is being done? Action economy. It becomes a very tricky formula to work out.
I mean, we've done like up to like 13 or 14 people at a table at once. But
13 or 14 players was back in 2nd edition.
Yeah, that's true. When you had less options, less things going on. I like 4 to 6 personally. Once you start getting over that, it slows things down.
I think 5 is kind of my ideal, like right there in that middle, that sweet spot.
I agree. 4 to 6 and 5 being the ideal, and you'll get 4 every once in a while because someone won't be able to show up.
Yeah.
So he's saying Forge Cleric, Channel Divinity. This is Ryan's Scanlon. Allows you to make an object worth up to 100 gold pieces. You use that to create a 1,000-pound block of iron from which you fabricate high-value items like plate armor.
So yeah, that's what's here. The thing you create can be something that is worth no more than 100 gold. As part of the ritual, you must lay out metal, which can include coins with a value equal to the creation. The metal irretrievably coalesces and transforms into the creation at the ritual's end, magically forming even non-metal parts of the creation. The ritual can create a duplicate of non-magical item that contains metal, such as a key, if you possess the original during the ritual. But I mean, I think the real key is the spell Fabricate, which you need, which is not exactly a low-level spell. So if you're like, hey, I'm going to turn 100 gold pieces into plate mail, all right, so you've made 900 using this ritual and the spell Fabricate.
Thing is, I don't think that's correct, because I think Fabricate goes off the value of the item, not necessarily the
raw material.
The raw materials, because they don't.
I don't think any of us have done this, Sean. He's asking, have you ever run a game with 2 groups opposing each other?
No,
I have not. We've run multiple games in the same area and had that stuff affect the other characters.
We had at one point in time, the real beginning, of, our gaming group. We had a good party and an evil party, but they weren't ever at odds. They weren't, working towards the same end.
Or particularly even in the same world, because at that point we haven't even really delved into that yet.
That's true. And then we've had the effects of one campaign affect what's gone on in the wider world, which affected another game. So like the evil game that you ran with, the orcs and half orcs, wound up coming into NPCs that we had met in your other game.
Yeah, actually, I don't. That style of game doesn't even really appeal to me that much as a GM.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather let each one do their thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's when you've got two groups working towards the same goal, like who's going to get there first. I think that creates a challenge, and one party is going to be upset, and unless like you're working towards the goal of a single combat where you're pitting them against each other and everyone's going to be there, which could be tricky.
I mean, ultimately, we're playing a cooperative game with the people at the table. So as the DM, I'm generally rooting for them to succeed. I want them to win. I mean, I don't just give it to them, but at the same time, if you have two different parties doing that, then someone has to lose.
Yes.
So, I mean, basically what you said. And, and that's not why I play the game. So
here.
To each their own, no. Walter R. Buck has a question somewhere. How do you DM with a playable character of your own without breaking the campaign? You don't. Don't ask us that question, guys, because you're not going to get the answer you want. We just don't like that. It's not our thing. If you do it in your game and you enjoy it, that's cool. But like, I'm the DM, I get to play all the other characters that the players don't, so I don't need a character. I play all the characters. Just, it's our opinion. I mean, you've been following along. You probably heard us say it before.
The DM player character.
Yeah.
I recommend don't doing that.
Long time ago. Actually, I think before I started gaming with Dave, I did that once, and it was before I had a true grasp of the rules, and it was just like, oh well, I want my character to tag along, and like he was incredibly powerful, but not so powerful as the other players in the game, and I set things up so that he could get like the cast-offs that the other players didn't want, and it was like, this is silly.
Let's see. All right, so Blue Fur is asking. Now, I don't know if you're asking again or if someone else asked, but I did see that, and then I kind of got distracted. Squirrel. How do you guys feel about adding playable races from other games like Warhammer Fantasy? We're all for that kind of stuff. We love adding options and choices, more things for the players to do in the game or choose from. We love seeing when Watts introduces new options. So I would say we're pretty much all for it.
Yeah, and I think that if you want to take something that either somebody comes up with, or you want to not be a part of this realm, you're a planar traveler or whatever, and there's another race that you could get close enough to and then make some minor tweaks, you already see something that's balanced rather than create something whole cloth, is a good formula. I've made quite a number of different races from monsters out of the monster manual, as well as some of the things that are out of my own creation, and those articles were put up on the website years ago, so you could always go look there, and that's a good starting ground. But absolutely, new races I'm all for. New classes, on the other hand, I'm a little hesitant, unless there's a reason why you can't, unless you can't do it with a combination of other things, and it's so far removed from the other classes, I don't think creating a whole new class is a good way to go. But I am formulating ideas of a class that I'm working on. It's in the infantile stages.
Cogent chaos.
Cogent, yeah.
How do you deal with players who love to play and want to play, but show up far less than other players at the table? You either accept it or you do not. They're your only two choices. Like you can't. There's nothing you can probably do to make them show up more. And it depends why they're not showing up.
Oh, come on, Dave. Not that we're condoning this, but
the white panel van.
you could certainly get the handcuffs, lock them at the table, and they're good. They'll always be there when it's time to play.
That's a good point. Yes, you could kidnap them, I guess.
But he does not condone kidnapping.
We don't condone it, but that's the best way. That's the best way to ensure that your players are there. As I said, just a few minutes ago, I've got players that are not going to be able to make it. One person's going camping with scouts. One person's being sick after he missed last session because he was on his honeymoon. It's like, come on,
this guy's on serious. It's just not serious.
But so
he could have live streamed it. We have the technology.
So you just make do.
In the old days, we'd have never let that shit fly. What? Get married on your own time, son. This is game night.
Well, guess we're just going to kill your character.
Or you get those phone calls. My boyfriend's not gonna be there.
Yeah, so there's different reasons people miss games, and the best thing is to just be able to continue playing it with the rest of the group instead of waiting on that one player.
Just have fun, modify your encounters, have fun with it.
Roll with the punches.
And if they're the player that's consistently absent, just make it one of the things like they're trapped an evil artifact every once in a while, or they are planeswalkers or something. They have a special power but they can't control it, so sometimes they just disappear.
They're the chaos sorcerer.
Yeah, the chaos. Oh yeah, if you're a chaos sorcerer, that's really easy.
So Ryan, with all those suits of plate mail, 15 suits, like who's gonna buy them all? Like that's the thing. Like you can go, okay. The best part is to let the player do all of this and be like, you can't find anyone to buy them, like because literally, only the ultra wealthy are going to be able to afford it. And then they're going to be like, well, even if there are people that can afford it, I'm like, well, what do I need a suit of full plate for?
Yeah, it's not like Skyrim or something like that. If you sell 50 suits of plate mail, they don't all sell for 1,500 gold.
It's like they could go out and buy. Someone could go out and buy armies for what it costs them for the full plate. So why would they bother? It's cheaper to replace the people in the armor than the armor at that point. So.
And another thing is, first off, you have to have the artisan tools and basically the skills. You have to have the tool proficiencies that you would require for creating the things as part of the fabricate, or you can't make complex things like jewelry or armor and things. And like Dave said, you're going to depress the market in the area, and things aren't going to sell as much. And if you don't have the skill to fit it to each person, you're going to have to fit it to each person. That's going to cost you either time, money, or paying somebody else to fit this, very intricate, custom made for a particular person mail to somebody else. So, I mean, if you got all the guys lined up and you're like, how would you guys all like to have full plate for, 500 gold pieces? You can make yourself some money, but how many times are you going to find people that are going to spend 500 gold on full plate? If I was a noble, I'd be like, where are you getting this stuff from?
Or, the other thing you could do too is you could just bog that character down with scheduling conflicts to get all the measurements. Come on, getting 15 people in for measurements in the week, plus doing your rituals.
What level spell is Fabricate?
It's fourth.
Okay, so you're talking about, at minimum, a 7th level character.
Yeah.
So as a 7th level character in my game, how many times did you wind up missing a session because you had real world stuff and you're like, okay, I'm going to do this thing and I'm going to make 200 gold where the party's making 1,000 gold.
Yeah. As my merchant guy said, well, this is a higher risk, but adventuring is more money. You make more money adventuring than the other things that I found.
So depending upon how your GM is running things, if you're running, games that are like, oh, well, you're still nickel and diming at, 7th level through 10th level, well, then this is a way that you can make money. It's not just a win-win cycle, because as you guys said, that there's, you got to find a market, you got to find people who are willing to buy it, and you're probably not getting 1,000 gold out of it. You're probably going to get less. and it takes time to do all of this stuff. Whereas if you were to actually go out and adventure, chances are you're probably going to earn more than that from the things that you're actually getting.
So, Jacob, how effective do you believe a thief warlock with the mask of many faces and eldritch sight invocations will be? He'll be really effective at doing those specific things. And if if I believe what is many faces is that's disguised self.
Yeah.
Is it at will or
alter self? I thought
alter self. Yeah. So I mean, you get to do that, and eldritch sight is what, seeing magic items and stuff like, or seeing magic. Is that the one where you detect magic, or one of the other things?
I think that's detect magic as well.
those will be really good if you're a city campaign thief warlock and you're doing city campaign stuff.
Yeah, if your DM puts in a lot of opportunities for those things to be useful.
It'll maybe if let's say you're playing a city campaign and you're like, hey, I'm burglaring on my downtime, which is in the Xanathar's Guide to Everything. They have the downtime stuff. Maybe you get a better success rate than just a general thief that's going to be burglaring, because you almost never get caught because you're a different person when you go on your burglaring.
So that's detect magic and disguise self at will.
Okay, disguise self, not self.
So if I'm going to go look like that guy, I'm going to detect magic, and then I'm going to, use my arcane trickster, and I'm going to pickpocket the guy over there because he's got a magic ring on. Okay, yeah, in a city game where you constantly can be, changing shapes and doing things in a world or in a place where there happens to be a decent amount of magic, you've got some chances. But if there's enough magic out there that this could be useful, you're still going to have to find a way to pawn it. And if there's magic, well, then there's people that have magic are going to be able to see through that kind of stuff. You're going to have challenges where it's like, oh, I stole the wrong thing from the wrong guy. So I imagine that great concept. You could have a lot of fun with it, but at some point in time, the DM's gonna put something in there, and it's going to be a serious foil or a challenge specifically for you.
And then you end up in a sack with rocks in it, thrown into a river.
Oh wow, I jumped all the way to the bottom. There's all kinds of stuff going on in the chat here. But that being said, let me grab one of these questions. We need Jeopardy music. Question from Chaos once again, Kojin Chaos. Fast travel, overland movement, or airships. Best advice to give players to travel around most efficient way. Well, this really depends on what's actually available in your game and what you want to do with it as a GM.
Yeah, use it as a story device. If it's kind of like if you take like airships, well, in Star Trek or like other seafaring things, the ship is like the encounter area. So you can have things interact with them, or you can say fast travel. You leave one place and you go to another, whether or not you're walking, floating, running, sailing on a ship or whatever, or in an airship above the skies. It's either uneventful if you want it to be, or it can be a place that encounters and cool things can happen. So it depends on whether or not you just want to say, all right, you're now in this city when you were in that one, and it was uneventful except for a horse through a shoe or something.
All right, well, there's actually several things that can actually be done here. If you're going on a vessel, be it caravan, be it a boat, be it an airship, downtime activities, you are not required to do anything while the vehicle is conveying you to where you're going. Do you want to carouse? Did you bring books to do some research? Did you want to try and make connections with people that are on board? There's not all of the options, but some of those options are going to be there, and it's up to you as to what you want to do. Do you have the ability to create items, via some of these tool proficiencies? Yeah, you're probably not pulling out a forge and crafting stuff while you're on a boat, but
the captain would frown on that.
But what if you're on an airship and they actually have, heat in an engine room that you might be able to work with? Hey, you might be able to do it. Who knows? It's up to the GM. Apart from that, you have the ability, as these guys said, just narrate it. What do you want to happen? Do you get there? Was there a trouble? Is there a problem with the particular vehicle, and you now have the characters have to fix it because the person who would normally do so, is missing or was damaged or was injured when the thing got damaged. The thing threw a gasket and the guy got blasted in the face. He now can't see. Well, maybe he can talk and guide characters through it, or maybe it's just solely up to them to do it. Another thing that's possible that I like to do is throw in some player agency. All right, guys, you're gonna travel from this kingdom to the next over the course of the next week. But something interesting happened. Nate, what was it?
Oh, yeah. Well, a tree fell in front of the wagon caravan and goblins attacked.
So you don't have to get into the combat, or you could, but throwing it to the players gives them the ability to have a little bit of fun with it. I ran a game just the other day, and some of the players were first timers, and the one player really wanted to fight a goblin, and the players were on their way back to town, and I'm like, all right, Josh, what wound up happening on your trip back to town? And he's like, all right, well, that guy wanted to see a goblin, so we found a cave, and inside was a goblin. It was fun.
It was fun. So, Jason, this is one of my favorite questions, Jason. How do I get player to do X? Insert X, anything, doesn't matter. Can't make anyone do anything.
Oh, so. I thought you were asking how to get player.
How do you get player to be creative with names instead of same name over and over again?
Oh, what it was like the 17th or something.
Yeah. It's kind of a gaming trope at this point, and anytime you're talking about an actual person and like, how do I get them to do, and it's like, just like in real life, you can't really get anyone to do anything they don't want to.
Have you, as a person in the real world, prepared the spell dominate person?
Oh, I got it right here. Start off by getting involved in every political conversation on Facebook you can possibly find, and get those people to change their mind. When you've successfully done that, you will get anybody to do anything.
And here's how with my free. Yeah. So all that aside, you can't forcibly change other people.
You can make suggestions.
You can make suggestions and be like, hey, maybe you could say, hey, I'm having trouble telling your 4 characters apart over the session. They're kind of all blurring together. Sorry, but can you please name them or change your class or do something that can get me out of the mindset and stop thinking about your old character? And what's that? Like,
he's going to be like, okay, well, this is Emilio 4.
Yeah, what is it? Seth, I can't remember his last
Pulaski.
name. Yeah, he did the 7 Deadly Gaming Sins or something.
Oh, no, different Seth.
Different Seth. I can't remember his last name, but anyway, he's got a YouTube channel,
and he'll be on the show on next Friday.
Oh, great! So the guy on next show Friday, that's Seth.
We're at PAX Unplugged.
Yeah, so he did a thing and basically did this funny shtick where it was like a fire mage, and it was like, oh, like an ember mage. I was like, I'm gonna be one with the element fire, and it was like all these guys, and they were all pretty much the same character, just different slightly, like, because the other one was dead, and he was like, I just can't keep them all straight. And it's pretty much, you can't keep them all straight if they're very similar names. It's one thing if they don't name a dragonborn like Exorzik or whatever, and you're like, I don't want to say that every time I say my character's name, so he is Robert whatever the dragon. Like it's hey, that's his preference. But when it's like, well, this guy's name's Bob, well, this guy prefers Bobby, and you have 5 different characters and they're all pretty much a derivation of Bob. Yeah, I can see that being confusing.
But it all boils down to you can't make people do anything. If a player is really heavily leaning towards a particular character type and they're going to play it over and over again, maybe find a way for them to try something else without being heavy-handed. Don't tell the warlock, poof, you're now a paladin. It's not going to go well.
But you can also, in the end, if you be like, this is driving me bonkers, I'm just not going to have this person in the game. You can also do that.
No, Next Level 88 retracted their message, and I was going to answer that one next. He was asking if we're going to be at PAX Unplugged.
We will be at PAX Unplugged. Come look for us.
Maybe someone else answered in the chat for us.
Well, you said something about PAX next week, so
yeah, but not.
4 minutes ago.
Yeah.
No, he just said it right now.
So,
This Friday.
yeah. That's true. You're correct.
Don't worry.
win.
I know what you
passed.
said.
You passed your perception check. Does Spelljammer exist in 5e currently? Walt wants to know. Question to anyone in the chat otherwise. It does if you wanted to.
It does this upcoming Thanksgiving.
It does in this house.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to play. Ted's going to be running a Spelljammer on Thanksgiving Eve.
Average Joe, question. How are you guys feeling? I feel good. Better than I should. All right, it's enough.
I'm feeling okay. I'm recovering from an accident, but I'm doing all right.
I got a good 4 days, linked in. I got a game tonight. I got a game tomorrow night. I ran a game Thursday night.
He's re-asked next to lady. So are you guys still going to be booth babes? We're going to be booth beards, clearly. Listen, we don't want to put any kind of pressure on babes out there to have to live up to all this. So we're booth beards. We don't hurt anybody's self-esteem or anything, man. This is not fair to the world.
Although, we're going to...
And we'll be there all 3 days. Actually, we may be there more than that. I don't know. I want to see who's going to be around Thursday, so I'm going to probably shoot over Thursday afternoon to hang out.
I have to see what's going on with my schedule. See, I'll definitely be there. Friday evening to Sunday. We'll see.
And I can't make Thursday. I'm going to be working.
Call out Ted.
Well, I'm already taking off Friday, so
yeah,
it'd be like, oh, you just wanted an extended weekend? You could have requested off.
Yeah. Why didn't you do that from the first place? But I don't know. I'm probably going to. I'm just going to go abuse my liver Thursday night. Probably. It's probably what's going to end up happening. It's like the only times I really drink anymore is when I go to cons. My poor liver.
Well, you give it a rest in between, so it's all right.
So if any of you guys are looking for something to do tomorrow afternoon, late afternoon, 5:30, I'll be running the game for the 40K winner, Roger. It'll be an adventure in Chult as per his request. So look for that over on the not over on that, but you're on the YouTube, so you're there anyway. That's where it'll be.
So Comrade
2261,
and we should do a roll call too, like since the chat's almost over. Have you guys ever ran or thought about it? The Star Wars RPG game. I can't remember the name of the actual thing, but it's like $100. Well, I don't think it is. It just depends on how deep you want to go.
If you're talking about the current Fantasy Flight games, yes, we actually have a game that's currently going on. Ongoing. We've done 2 sessions with it, as well as we did a 4-session arc with Scott previously. That's up on the website. If you look behind Dave, there's a whole stack of FFG books.
More than half a bookshelf full of books.
I played the old, was it the D6 version many years ago, early 90s maybe.
Was that West End maybe?
I don't know. I never actually owned the books. Those were Vince's.
Yeah, but so we're not actually running any of those games, but we are playing them. There's some on the channel. So there's like 5 sessions on the channel with 1 more to go up.
I just haven't played enough to really feel like I know it well enough to run. It's definitely a different style game. So
I enjoy it.
Oh, absolutely. I enjoy it. I don't feel I've got the proper breadth of knowledge to be
crunch heavy.
Yeah,
very crunch heavy. So you know that going in. But in some ways, it feels less crunch heavy, I guess, because you're so focused on the narrative dice, you forget about all the other crunch.
You're not using like +1 and +3.
Yeah, the crunch is different. Yeah, the way it works is really different.
Because you're not setting up, okay, well, you need to get to 25. It's okay, well, is it a challenge 1 or 2 or 3?
And then
does things get upgraded? What kind of deficits are there?
Dice pools. It works off of dice pools. Pokemon for what? How do you use Succubi in my campaign without becoming too magical or realm? Well, it depends on how many Succubi you're going to use. West End Games D6s. Wow.
Thanks.
We got one person that responded to the call for roll call. We got Raven in the OZ.
I think for Succubus, if you use one and you treat it almost like vampire power for the area, because it's like what, low magic is what they said.
Without, no, they didn't say that. They just said they wanted to become too magical.
Okay, but yeah, I would treat it kind of like an older school horror thing, where you've got the Succubus as like the main like mystery. So you basically, a lot of the adventure is solving that it's actually a Succubus, and then either driving it off or confronting it towards the end. So you could have like a multi-story arc where people are dying and you might think it's disease, and you know, all these different things go through, kind of similar to like, you know, the Dracula concept, where you've got like people are getting ill and like, oh, a person's moved in this area, they're acting different.
I would do it where the characters are significantly lower level than a challenge that a succubi would be, so that there's no contest of who would win the fight. It has to be defeated the other way. You have to, as you said, drive it off with numbers as opposed to
Outsmart it.
As opposed to combat it. Like, it's not like that. That'll get you the horror theme of it.
We got Ed Does Everything, Dallas, Texas. Ashland, Kentucky is represented by Walt. Comrade 2261 is in Lynn, Massachusetts. Upstate New York in the house with Joshua. We got Dallas, Texas with Jason. Elfbait in Edmonds, Washington. We got Eduardo in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Nowhere, Missouri with Zach B. And the questions. Ventura, California with Jimmy McCoy. We got Sean Orwin in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Joshua Tree, California in the house with Mike. We got Chris from Under the Big Sky in Montana. London is in the house with World Anvil. And I will get to your message at some point today, maybe, or tomorrow, to be honest with you, because we got videos to shoot and games to play and stuff. Regilio is in Utah. So Ryan had a question. Will you guys do more character recreation builds like the Flash, for instance? How would you take requests? I can't figure out the best way to recreate Railgun from the Railgun anime. We're not gonna be able to help you with that one, I think, unless Nate is familiar with that one. The best place to send your requests are actually to our Gmail account at Nerdarchy, and just put, you know, either video request or GM911 or the D&Di's. That's what we call it. We call it D&Di'ing different characters, and we just did one. We got another one coming up. We did Loki. That's what we did.
And we got a request for Foghorn Leghorn now.
And we do have a request for Foghorn Leghorn.
So if you're talking about a scientific railgun, and she's like a level 5 Esper. If you're talking about that, then I've watched that anime, but these guys won't know anything about it. So
the only thing I know about railgun is from Riffs.
Yeah, so if you're talking about that one,
you can't get that in a gun that you must, you know, literally get into the crust of the earth with your boots in order to not be thrown back by the expulsion of the rail.
I don't know why they just didn't point their feet at them and shoot the pylons.
Spikes.
Yeah, shoot the pylon spikes. I mean, that must be pretty insane. Pylon spikes, you know. Yeah, so I mean, just off the top of my head, I mean, since these guys are not going to do one, I would say I would go with the Storm Sorcerer, and probably look at, maybe it's like an Eldritch Blast, so maybe take Spell Sniper.
Because then you get a Warlock.
Well, no, Spell Sniper.
Spell Sniper gives you
Eldritch Blast. So I would go with Spell Sniper and Storm Sorcerer.
Just backhand them. Never crush me again, Ted.
Yeah, so I would go with that, and just like say, oh, the Eldritch Blasts are just all in a row, and doing the pushback effect. So. Oh, wait, no, but you'd have to be a Warlock to do that. Yeah, so maybe you do some Warlock. Maybe you do some Storm Sorcerer. Slap it together. Use some of the Eldritch invocations for...
Charisma.
Yeah, they're both Charisma. Good point, Ted. So, yeah, they could combine that together, and then you could have your Railgun. If you're talking about the one that I'm talking about.
Since you're on a roll, Comrade wants you to do Sido Kiba from Yu-Gi-Oh!
I haven't watched any of that. Sorry. Yeah,
that one feels.
I watched a lot of anime, but I haven't watched all anime.
Well, and Yu-Gi-Oh feels very much, you know, after our time.
Yeah, well, I mean, that same thing. Like, I haven't watched Pokemon. Like,
that's like you're starting to getting the things that I might have seen if my son watched them, or maybe. No, Yu-Gi-Oh is even older than that, right? Yu-Gi-Oh is really old.
I don't know.
Isn't that like the Pokemon era almost?
I think it's like after Pokemon. I'm not sure, but
No, it's definitely
like around
after.
that area. Yeah. So like Bleach, Naruto, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh. I haven't watched any of those. Like some of the big ones, I just have skipped over completely. I've watched like 5 episodes. I watched more of the weird the stuff where they take Dragon Ball Z and turn it into something else. I've watched more of that than I've watched of actual Dragon Ball Z episodes.
So some of the guys are still talking about Star Wars. You know what? I think the new Star Wars system is great, and there's different ways to play it. There's 3 different core books. You can just use one of those and play it that style, or you can get them all and kind of mix and mash. All the GMs that I've been with so far are so freaking in love with Jedi. It's insane. And it would be nice to get like a normal person to run some Star Wars that doesn't care about Jedi so much and do the other cool stuff.
But if they have to be passionate enough about Star Wars universe to be like, okay, Jedi are just a facet of the Star Wars universe.
Well, I mean,
let's play scoundrels.
You can do a game and just like, all right, do a session 0. Nothing's Jedi. We're just going to be in that world. You're not going to encounter any unless it's like,
well, or if you're like, hey, we're playing like Star Wars now, and guess what? There really isn't Jedi to be, technically. So,
all right. So, just a point on your session 0, Ted. Tell them ahead of time before they waste their time showing up to a session 0, because like if you're in person and you had to drive there and then find out that you can't play Jedi, you're like, well, I'm just gonna go home. You could have told me that on the phone, Bob.
I mean, the Star Wars system has so much that you can stretch out into. I mean, literally, only a third of the 3 books have Jedi in it. Like the last little tidbit of Age of Rebellion is like, oh, you want to be like Force sensitive emergent? Here you go. You can have some Force powers. But other than that, you've got 2 full books that are all about characters that have no Force powers whatsoever.
Mm-hmm. The Edge of the Empire stuff is fantastic. It really feels like Firefly to me. Like you could run a great game like that, where with mercenaries and bounty hunters, and it'd be a lot of fun. The Jedi stuff gets kind of weird.
Yeah, you'd have to get into Age of Rebellion to get to your courtesan though.
I guess so. Well, but both of the GMs that have run Star Wars at our table have similar styles, and they've learned. I think they kind of like play off each other a little bit and adapt as that. So I would definitely like to see another. I'd like to see a second take on playing Star Wars.
Yeah,
a little grungier, a little dirtier, not so shiny and hopeful.
We can make that. We can make that happen at some point.
Nice. Ted's running it. That's what I'm hearing.
I'm volunteering. You're not forcing me into it. I'm volunteering.
I don't want to play now. Forget it. You're an expert now. Like, this is your 3rd campaign, or is it 4th?
It's 3rd, but like technically the other one was like 2 sessions.
Whatever, man. You've been in more campaigns than like us combined.
Yeah,
that's because he's had none.
I've been in one for like a one session. I've had 1 session on Star Wars, but I love the narrative.
My son would love that, Elfbait. I'm bashing together an Ewok adventure campaign. That's what my son is playing, an Ewok Jedi right now.
Broke some people's minds. Ewoks can't be Jedi. Why not?
We're going to keep. Has anyone know about Beneath? I think it's going to be at PAX Unplugged. I don't know what that is. Now I'm intrigued.
That's the Underdark.
Well, yeah. That's what we call the Underdark in our world.
Yeah, I don't know what the Beneath is, but if you tell us about it, maybe we can go check it out at PAX next weekend.
Yeah, we'll be there. We'll have to take a look around.
I'm excited to be there. I want to check it out. Hopefully, it won't be chained to games and booths for long.
Yeah, I hope you guys are gonna I think it's gonna be Saturday night. I hope you guys free up your Saturday night because that's the alpha party.
Oh, all right.
With the Geek and Sundry, we're supposed to get an invite.
You're not gonna have to go chase somebody down again, are you?
I might. I will if I need
He'll
to.
absolutely do it, and I have faith in Dave's success rate since he's 1 for 1 right now.
Yeah. The last one was kind of tricky because I decided the last minute I was going to go, and I heard about it last minute too.
It's like, hey, there's a party. Yeah. I want to be at that party.
Although I've been offered to be the +1 to go, so I can definitely go. But I want you guys to come too and have some fun. We gotta get Ted drunk and dancing on tables. Ted will be incarcerated before the end of the night.
Don't worry, Ted. I'll be your guiding light for not getting smashed.
Right. Oh, bring your sword. No reason.
All right. I've decided that it's okay if you get arrested once.
All right. Well, I'm on the internet. My friends wanted me to go to jail.
No, I said I'm fine with it. Not that I want you to.
That's completely different. It's true.
Completely up to you on what rules you break with swords.
While you two get me drunk.
No. That's also voluntary.
I might dice you with drugs unknowingly. Like, I know you're against this and morally opposed to it, Nate, but just hold on. It's going to be really funny.
It's going to be
so I'm using this as proof
evidence. It's not my fault.
Watch him get totally smashed.
No, Nerdarchy doesn't really condone unknowingly dosing people on any kind of drugs or alcohol.
That's what he says now.
You got to put the disclaimer on there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we are at 3:01, guys. You know what that means?
That means it's time for us to,
Did we cover everything we had to cover?
Goodbye.
I got everything off of my list. We got games that are coming up. We got
PAX Unplugged.
PAX Unplugged. We got the 2 giveaways. So you guys gotta check the link down below for the GnomeWorks. You gotta check the Xanathar's guide. Flip through. That link is down below, so you can win those awesome books. Not RPG. The winter game tomorrow, 5:30. RPG great game on the 24th. My game for the fans on December 1st. It's just game.
Score. Oh, thank you, comrade. He said I also became a patron.
Oh,
very much appreciated.
Yeah, thank you to all the patrons. If you want to join in on all that awesome, fun stuff that we do and all the things that we give away, there is a link to join down below.
Oh yeah, one quick thing I would say though, if you're going to be a PAX Unplugged and you do want to meet up with us, well, now it'll be easier because you can come track us down. But feel free to shoot us an email at Gmail, and that's the best way to do anything, because we can take those emails and we can put them in a folder and then we can find them. Social media can be a bit hit and miss. Like, I could be driving in my car, look at something and be like, oh, I'll get back to that, and it's gone forever. So just so you know. But anyway, guys, until next time,
stay nerdy.